gang-a-lang. So I was supposed to record a podcast episode today, but that didn't happen. I'm not sure why. And I understand that there's a lot of reasons why someone might not arrive for being on the podcast, which I totally understand. I would be terrified if it was me being a guest for the one time too. So I have a few ideas for the podcast that I really want to get people's opinions on. They are slightly separate to the usual episodes where I'm interviewing / conversing with a guest, a local guest. It's cold in there. So I have an idea. My first idea that I want to ask you guys about is having some sort of creative cheerlead group. So it would be once a month and a select number of people. I'm not sure how many yet because I haven't thought about it in depth. But ideally it would be people from different creative avenues. So the idea is to kind of have a collaborative thought session, kind of like a brainstorm, I guess. So you could bring your ideas, you could bring projects that you're working on, you could bring notes. All of them are valid. So the basic premise is that you are kind of sharing ideas with people from different creative avenues to yourself. So it could be that you're a photographer, you could be a musician, you could be an artist, you could be a podcaster. And it's just kind of bringing your ideas to a different group and getting input from people who don't necessarily understand your avenue, but they could bring a different perspective, or they could think of something that you haven't thought about already, and just kind of having that conversation but taking it outside of the podcast, if that makes sense. So giving you guys the opportunity to have conversations with each other as opposed to just me having conversations with other people. I don't know why I'm struggling to say this. It's probably the rum and ginger. It was good though. I got the rum from France when I was skiing last week. And if I've got a goggle tan, just please don't tell me, because I really tried not to get that. Yeah. So idea number 2 is to have a creative mini retreat type of thing. So this kind of came off the back of the idea of having my auntie, who's a yoga teacher, on the podcast. And I really wanted to touch on I guess just different ways of thinking of creativity and the implications on your body, which people wouldn't necessarily think about. But if you're an artist or something like that, you might be hunched over a desk all day, or you might be sat in a weird position to do your painting or something like that. So I was kind of thinking that would be a good podcast episode in general, but also turning that into a day of activities, so you guys get an opportunity to meet each other but also to be doing something at the same time. So what I'm thinking is having a subject, and this could be over a couple of different retreats. Nothing expensive. I don't want it to be over £30, because I think at that point it just becomes too big of a deal. So yeah, just having a topic or something. Yeah, no, having a topic. Having a topic that everyone can interpret in different ways. So it could be that everyone has a cup of coffee, like something you literally do every day, but you don't take the time to like fully absorb the experience. And it could be that, say, you have 15 minutes of experiencing drinking the coffee, kind of like they do in other cultures. We don't do it here because we rush having coffee, but in other countries and other cultures, they like really make a big deal about it, and it's a very like sensual process. And I think tapping into that kind of tangibility of things again would be really beneficial to people's creativity and tapping into that mindset. So I think, yeah, doing something like that, and then maybe even like having a lunch together, just like manual, going off grid, something like that. Just a select group of people experience stuff together and kind of build that connection through actually doing something. As much as I love doing the podcast, and it is amazing, I have such good conversations with people, but I think I really want to like open it up to other people, because I know not everyone wants to talk on camera, not everyone feels comfortable voicing their thoughts and things like that. So I've always wanted Inner Revenue to be like a community thing. It's not necessarily that I want it to be kind of a Instagram massive following or that kind of thing, because it is very much local, and there's only a certain number of people in Southampton at the end of the day. So I just want to find ways that we can connect those kind of creative circles and not have such a secular attitude, and like having the same big organizations kind of running things like some sort of mafia mob. So let me know in the comments. I might put a poll down there to see what you guys are most interested in. But yeah, the ideas are the creative cheerleader group, which will be monthly with a set number of people, not necessarily always the same people. And the other idea is the creative mini retreat thing. So that would be like a one-off day or half day, kind of spending time with people in the local community. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And season 2 is coming once I nail down the guests, like hammer them to the cross. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that anymore. This is going to be the worst episode to listen to if you don't already know who I am. And now I've had a French rum and ginger ale to ease my sorrows. Oh my god, help me. The questions. So I've got yeah. So this is going to sound a bit ridiculous, but I bought these cards a little while ago, and they're called intimacy cards. I can't remember exactly what the brand is, but it's got a big old B on the package. And I bought them for me and my partner, but I feel like they could work quite well on the podcast, especially given that I'm not actually interviewing someone today. And I'm probably hating myself as I edit this because I'm just rambling on and on about the same old thing. Okay, so I'm going to pick a card. I've got quite a few here, and there's like two that are about me things, and the rest are past. So I was supposed to use this with our guest today, but he did not arrive. So I'm going to pick one at random for myself. Okay, right. Describe a time or moment in your life where you felt lonely or unloved. Oh, we got deep fast. Lonely or unloved? I feel like these are quite strong statements. Like, nobody wants to feel that way, do they? Like, I feel like you don't really collect the moments that you felt lonely or unloved, because those are probably the moments you want to forget about. Unless maybe you're an artist and you want to really harness that feeling or work your way through it through creating your work. I don't know if I ever feel unloved. I feel like, I hope nobody feels like that. That's quite sad. I think lonely is probably more of a thing. I'm quite an independent person, maybe too much so, that I don't feel lonely very easily, if that makes sense. Like, I know some people find it very difficult to be on their own, whereas if anything, I probably started the podcast to meet more people because I'm so okay with being on my own. My neighbours downstairs can probably hear me rubbing on. Lonely. I feel like I want to pick another one, but that's cheesy. And the French, Dominican, whatever it is, rum has gone straight to my head, so that must be the good stuff. Oh, I don't know. I've definitely felt lonely and potentially unloved. I remember a specific time when I'd just come back from travelling in Australia, and I was staying with my mum because we kind of came back because I'd just run out of money and I was sick of the uncertainty of it. Like, I love travelling, but I don't love not knowing where I'm going to sleep the next night. Like, that's not fun. And I just got back, and I was staying with my mum, and she was kind of like, "You need to get a good job. You need to get a job." And instantly, like, I think I'd been back for like 2 weeks, and I dropped out of uni because I wasn't enjoying my course. I was doing a drawing and applied art course, and it just felt way too broad, and that was kind of the reason that I applied for it at the beginning. But I just felt like I wasn't learning anything, and I wasn't into paying nearly 10 grand a year to learn nothing and just making up shit for the sake of it. No offense, UE. Huh. Yeah, so I came back and I was quite into crystals and stuff at the time. So I found a job in Bath because I went back to Bristol at the time, or I was about to go back. And I applied for this job, and I attached my CV as you normally would, but I also attached a watercolour I did of like a big block of amethyst that I've got. It took me ages. Like, I did watercolour pencils, and I've still got it in the garage. Like, it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. And I remember them phoning me up at the time because I like sent it to them in the post mail, and the recruitment person was like, "Oh, we're not taking any more applications because we've already started the recruitment process. So they were already interviewing for this job. But they were like, we really want to meet you because you've sent in this watercolour picture and it's so up our recruit person's street that it was almost like we just want to know who you are. But I just remember at the time that I was finishing this painting and I was genuinely enjoying doing it just for the sake of doing it because I wanted to. And I remember being at the end of my bed or something, and I think I'd asked my mum and brother for their opinion on my cover letter, and my mum just like fixated on the fact that I'd said aptly, which I already googled was a word. And she was like, oh, just aptly. And then it was kind of like, you can't apply for a job like this. Like, why would you send a painting? I was like, because I genuinely want to apply for this job in like a way that feels authentic to me. And they were just so judgmental, and I felt like I think it's so stupid. Like I've like broken the boundaries of how to apply for a job, and it was like, nah, that's not how you do it. I'm like, and why would you send a painting of a crystal? It's like, because I'm applying to a job at a crystal shop, maybe. So yeah, I felt pretty lonely and unloved at that point because I felt like I could be myself. It makes me kind of sad to think about now actually, because I still remember that feeling of just feeling like instant rejection, like questioning what feels authentic to you. And I was really putting myself out on a limb. Like no one likes applying for jobs. So yeah, I felt pretty lonely and unloved at that point. I think I'm going to do another one. So, not that one. Oh, I like this one actually. So this card says it's from the past. So they're all in different sections. It's like relationship, about you, past, present. I can't remember. But this one says, tell me something you believed as a child that makes you laugh now. So, I already know what I'm going to say for this. So, when I was younger, I didn't really understand how the TV worked. And I was a bit, I didn't know about kind of broadcasting and things like that. And I was just a bit like, how is it that every time I turn this channel on, they know exactly what I want to watch? Like, but it's never at the beginning of the program. So I was starting to wonder whether it was like some mysterious being inside the TV who was kind of doing exactly what I wanted them to do. Like I felt like I was the one in control, which is interesting because you do have the controller, but at the same time you're not in control because it's being broadcasted out to thousands, if not millions, of other people besides just you. And I remember it was at the time when it would be like the TV and the video player were built into the same unit. And I was like, oh, well, that must be where you put the money in. Like some sort of fruit machine. So yeah, I think I went down a like mental tangent at that point. I was like, oh, I remember thinking, what if someone is looking down at us like we're ants? You know how like you're walking along on the street and you're kind of like, the ants are so small, like you could crush them with one foot, but if you went down with a microscope, there'd be like this whole ant architecture kind of thing. But yeah, like, yeah, that's one of the weird things that I thought about that makes me laugh now, because it's just so innocent but also like inventive and creative. It's kind of like you don't start with the problem, you start with what you can see, and you're trying to like work backwards to figure out like why that is what's happening in front of you right now. But if you guys have had something funny that you believed when you were a kid, I would really love to know that, because that's my one. I'm doing one more, because I'm quite enjoying this. Describe something that's exciting in your life right now. So at the moment, I feel like my confidence has grown massively in the last like 5-10 years. And I recently applied to be a mentor with an organisation called the Girls Network. And they're basically going to schools and kind of, you volunteer to be a mentor. You have to have 3 years experience to take part, which is understandable. And you can go to like a matching event where they try to pair you up with someone, but it's not necessarily someone who wants to work in the same field as you. It's more like a big sister type of thing, like a buddy. But I'm excited about that because it's just so cool to think like you've got to a point where you've got enough experience to actually help someone else, especially someone at that age. Like I went for the first meetup probably like a month ago, and it was the weirdest thing going back into school. Yeah, just the weirdest thing. And you forget, it doesn't feel like that long ago that I was 15, 14, I think. And I look at these girls now and I'm like, if I saw them on the street, I would never ever guess that they were that age. Some of the habits, you can kind of tell that they're younger because they haven't developed that confidence yet. But it's just so interesting. You're just like, oh my god, like I've got the knowledge to help you, but now I'm like so far past where you are, and kind of I don't know the context in which you're learning it in, if that makes sense. When I was at school, we had mobiles, but not on the level of social media that we have now. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I got messed around a little bit because the person that I was supposed to be mentoring and got matched up with at the beginning didn't turn up. And then the other day I was running a bit late because I forgot that we had the car. So I had to get to somewhere that was like a half an hour drive away in 10 minutes. And I just about got there, but when I arrived, I realised that sat-nav had taken me to the complete wrong side. And I was getting so annoyed that like the school was so big. It's just like, it covers like 4 roads. And I tried to walk down to get to the entrance, but I was so far away from it. And you see all these signs and it's like, no, you have to go this way. It's like, I'm going to be so late by the time I get there. It's just not worth even getting there to start with. And that makes me sound super unorganised, but it was also that whatever emails they were supposed to have sent out didn't arrive in my inbox. And also I'd just come back from holiday. But anyway, that's not the point. I'm excited about mentoring. It's definitely out of my comfort zone, but that's how you grow, people. Do we do one more? I literally just got the same card, so I think that's going to be a no. I might use these on some of the people on the podcast. I think that can be quite fun, like just a completely random question. Yeah, I'm literally getting the same cards that I got the first time. Okay, I think that's enough for my rum and rumba catch up. Yeah, we'll see what will happen with season 2, but I don't know. My optimism was like sky high, and now it's in the rocks. Not because of one person not turning up, just generally like, everyone's busy, and the people who want to be on the podcast have somewhat presence and stuff going on. And the other people who have less of a presence are harder to find. So I kind of have to rely on those people coming to me. But if you do want to be on the podcast, then there's no like follower count that you need to meet, or like you have to be an influencer or whatever. You don't even have to be confident on camera. Literally, like, I'm gonna edit this so hard because I've said and like, that doesn't matter. Like, it just sounds like a genuine conversation with myself. But yeah, at least it doesn't just sat at home with the podcast stuff ready to go and doing nothing. And this is probably going to be a super boring episode. But I don't know if I'll even make it an episode. Actually, I might just make it into like a shortcut of social media or something like that. Yeah. I guess I feel a bit bummed. I do feel a bit bummed. Just because it takes a lot of time and effort to arrange dates for the podcast, think about talking points, set up everything so it's ready to go when that person gets here, editing it after, factoring all of the other things in. I love doing it and I love talking to people, but I wish I could do something else to kind of help build up that confidence so that people don't feel like they have to they just don't feel scared to like turn up, if that makes sense. So just, yeah. And if you think of anyone who you think would be good on the podcast, they do have to be local to Southampton, but I have got a few people on my radar. It's just I need to ease into kind of creative tangents, because it's called an inner avenue at the end of the day, and some of the things that I'm thinking of doing are more like wide roads to creativity. Oh my god, I'm not even gonna publish this episode. I don't even know what I'm on about anymore. Yeah. So we'll see if the podcast continues. Hopefully it does. I don't want to jack it in because after one season seems like a bit of a flake, but yeah, I'm having fun, but also I don't want to just do solo episodes because nobody will listen to them. That's just boring. So yeah, and if you made it this far, I appreciate you and thank you for listening to me rambling on and on. And hopefully there will be some cool episodes and conversations for you to listen to after this. But if it does happen to take a break right here where we are, then I have fun, and this was never to be a long-term thing. It was a bit of a like fun project, I guess. And yeah, I'm not one to dwell on things. I just want to like keep it moving. I have no idea what I'd do after this. This was my little like baby project, so we'll see. See ya.